Good morning. Welcome to Wake Up Real Estate on a Wednesday, a Wednesday after Halloween, and a Wednesday after a pretty historically relevant
Spooky even.
ruling that happened yesterday in Missouri. So we're going to dig into that, what that may mean, what you should do, at least my opinion about it, and maybe some resources as well. I'll cover a couple of things of what's working now as well, since it's a Wednesday. But why don't we start? We've got a great crowd already, so the NAR verdict must be getting folks excited. But why don't we start with your social post of the day, Ryan? And while you're doing that, I got to switch Wi-Fi, so I might lag for a second.
Yeah, sure. Just beating the drum on home valuation. We'll probably be talking in a minute about where these rulings put you, but they probably put you more in line with being a listing agent. That's the long and short of it. So here's an example post. You can do this pretty frequently. I just use Screencast-O-Matic. Scrolled through a cloud CMA that I had on that I was playing with. It just said, hey, video below is a fast look at a report generated by the home values tool you've been using. If you want one like this for your house, let me know. So the idea here is give them a sample of the report they're going to get before offering it and do a little video. So
beautiful. All right. So I'll just share one quick win here. What's working now? Win. I have we've started to work for sale by owners again. I had some success with for sale by owners in 2020. With how crazy strong the seller's market was, I kind of just was like, it's not really worth the time and effort. But things are changing with interest rates, et cetera. Struggling to sell as easily, right? Finding it maybe a little bit, they have to work a little bit harder to sell. So we're returning to working those, and I have for sale by owner that agreed to one of the cash offers from our cash offer dashboard and platform, agreed in principle today. So now I've got to get it in writing for them, etc. But I was pretty excited about that, and I would consider that a win. And for anyone who's interested in that, email mike@growwithjosh.com, mike@growwithjosh.com, and we'll give you the protocol we're following. Now, we literally just started doing this week, right? So it's not, it's definitely a work in progress. But I think there's something there, especially with what it looks like our market will look like for the, next 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Because even when they quote unquote sell their home, right, until it actually settles, there's still opportunity there. And so if you present yourself and position yourself as the backup plan for them, if that doesn't work out, I think there's definitely something there for you.
I heard something like last month, and this is just hearsay from a YouTube video, but something like 18%, something in that range, like 15 to 18% of contracts were canceled last month. So the buyers are getting the upper hand. They're getting a little spooked. So a FSBO trying to do this on their own,
they need your help.
They need your help. So even if they successfully, I would almost, if the FSBO says they've sold it already, I'd follow up in like maybe a couple of weeks and just say, hey, just checking in. Did you close?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly that's a perfect point. When they say it's sold or it's we have a buyer or whatever, the follow-up is, has it actually settled or it's just under contract? And then we try to get the settlement date and ask for permission for us to follow up to make sure that it actually closes, right? So don't just assume because they think it's sold that it's actually sold, right? If it hasn't actually transferred yet, get permission to follow up and follow through with them. Okay. Let's talk about the verdict from yesterday. I will admit readily, I haven't been like obsessing about the trial and what's going on. I've been paying attention, but I'm not like in the nitty gritty. However, what I would assume everyone on here saw yesterday was that, yesterday, the verdict was 1.7 billion in damages
and it came
from
fast.
NAR, KW, and Home Services of America, which is a big umbrella of a bunch of different companies.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. If you're a member of NAR, you probably also got an email yesterday from NAR about what happened and the verdict and what they're planning to do and how they're going to fight it. And I would assume KW is going to appeal. I would assume all of that's going to happen, right? So this is months and years from sorting itself out. However, I do think there are some things that you should at least consider based upon this ruling. And, just some things that I've been thinking about last night and this morning that I wanted to share. And for those of you interested, I'd like to do a more interactive brainstorming and masterminding at our 1:00 mastermind session today, which you can join us for free. That's an interactive Zoom. wakeup.realestate/mm. wakeup.realestate/mm. You can come and join us for that. That would be great. Just some thoughts that came up for me. Number one, the obvious thing is you need to be focused more on listings. And by you, I mean me. Okay. Right. So it may mean you, but like the reality is, who knows what will happen with buyer broker agreements and commissions and all of that. And quite honestly, none of us on here really have any control over that. Yeah. But we do have control over building a database of homeowners in our target area, building a relationship with those folks, and then being there to serve them and help them when the time is right. Okay, you do have significant control over that. Okay, so that would be the first thing, right? Is you got a list to last is more true now than ever, right? That's been a cliche for years and years and years. More true now than ever before. That would be number one. The second thing, and Ryan and I have been beating this drum forever and ever and ever. Your database, you've got to be growing and nurturing your database. Like that is those two roles besides servicing clients are where it's at. And if you want to survive all of this that's happening, because it's not just this verdict, it's interest rates, it's inventory, there's such a confluence, the upcoming election, there's so many different things happening that if you focus on what you can control, those things, growing and nurturing your database and providing great service when the opportunity arises, like that is how you survive and thrive. Ryan, do you have any points there? I have some like statistics and some other things I wanted to cover, but just
the only point is whether the appeals happen or not, and the legal battle takes a while. I think a lot of companies are going to start shifting their business models as a hedge, a what if. So just think about that. It probably does mean less buyer agency and more direct seller agency.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned in the comments, which is 100% true, like almost immediately after this guilty verdict, now there's more lawsuits. EXP's included in this, as well as I think Compass and
the lawyers are salivating.
Exactly. And so I was listening to I reference this often, National Real Estate Post, which they're also kind of branding as Mortgage Shots, but Brian Stevens, and we'll do our best to get the link to that video, today's video, in the description or somewhere with this. But his thoughts this morning, his reflections on this was the same as it ever was. The only people that are winning in this are the attorneys and fintech, big fintech. That's who's winning, because the actual the payout for a harmed seller, and for those of you listening on audio, I'm putting in air quotes, a harmed seller, their payout is going to be peanuts. pennies. And meanwhile, the attorneys are going to get like 30% of the 1.7 billion. Like, what are we doing, right? I guess that's just what, that's typical America, right? The other interesting, I don't know, just some interesting things here. But then I want to tactically get into like what you should do, right? Because we can all just crawl up in a ball, or we can get to work and take action. So I want to give you some things that to think about and actually potentially implement. But some of the things in there were like how the average commission is 6%. There has never been a year in real estate where the average commission was 6%, because they do calculate it. Last year it was like 5.3 or something like that. That's never been a thing. What's even more interesting is the alternative options that it seems this is pointing to cost the consumer more, right? If they go to some of these different companies, even the company that I mentioned this morning earlier, that the for sale by owner is agreeing in principle. The funny thing is that she is agreeing to an offer that she'll net less than what I said we could list and sell it for.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it's,
she's paying for the convenience and to not have to work with an agent.
Yep. So some great comments here. Soledad, I've been revamping my seller's guide since summer. Absolutely. Listings has always been the name of the game. Couldn't agree more. George says, I remember 27 years ago when I started, we used to take retainer fees from buyers. What's your thoughts? I think that may be part of the model moving forward. And also, you have better be able to demonstrate the value that you are providing for that retainer fee or whatever that may look like, which is definitely going to, be something that we'll be focused on and thinking about. Daphne says 30% standard commission. Is that collusion? Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. And another thing that got buried yesterday, and you better believe that this was not accidental, is the fact that Zillow bought Follow Up Boss, which is a topic for another day. But like, there's absolutely, it was not accidental, but that all came out at the same time, right? If you think that was coincidence, think again. Okay. So enough about that. What should you actually do? Well, let's look at actual data. Let me share my screen here. And for those of you who have been following me for any length of time, maybe gone through some of our trainings off of this, you may already know some of this information. But baby boomers, if you're going to focus on listings, you should at least consider focusing on building a database of baby boomers who own a home, because in 2022, okay, this is straight from NAR, right? We might as well get something out of what we're paying them. This is straight from NAR. 50, for some reason, the graph here, if you add it up, it's 52%. But later in the notes here, it says 52%. But let's just call it greater than 50% of listings, sellers, were younger and older boomers. And when you throw in the even older generation, it's close to 60%. So younger boomers and up made up over half of the listing market. Okay. And so we have a workshop, a boot camp on how you can build a pipeline for boomers. And also, if you want, and I've been mentioning this recently, and we had 2 people yesterday reach out and take us up on this offer. We can build you out an entire pipeline end to end to target potentially downsizing baby boomers, right sizing, downsizing, whatever. And whether or not you're interested in that, this is how you should think about dominating a niche and positioning yourself to get those opportunities as they arise. Okay. Like this is how I am approaching doubling down on listings. Okay. So you've got to set up all of the technology, right? You've got to have a landing page and an initial sort of top of funnel flow that is proven to convert. For example, the home value ads that I've shared a few times over the last few weeks, right? You have to have some way to get the top of funnel opportunities coming in. And you also need to make sure that you've got the tech, your Facebook pixel, your Google tag, and you can even install some other things, not only to track those conversions, but so that you can also be creating dynamically updating buckets, audience buckets that you can retarget and remarket to create a sense of omnipresence. Okay, so you've got to set up the entire system. You've got to have automated follow-up. I shared on Friday, and I actually built out another version of a thanks.io follow-up, direct mail follow-up campaign, and then retargeting campaigns and communications, and then your end-to-end lead disposition process, and then your manual follow-up protocol or plan. Like that is how you have to think about attacking and dominating a niche and giving yourself a competitive advantage, right? How do I build that database and grow it on a daily basis? And how do I nurture it on a daily basis? And how do I nurture it through text, through email, through video, on social media, and especially in direct mail? Multi-channel, I think, is what Ryan, that's what you were saying?
Yeah, exactly. As many channels as possible with focus on the niche from day to day.
Yeah. And so if that's of interest to you, I'd be happy to chat with you about, what that setup looks like and what that cost looks like. Or if you just want the checklist because you want to do it yourself or have someone else do it yourself, just let us know. Regardless of you, whether you want us to help you or not, like that is what it is going to take to win moving forward.
I just want to mention that we know that we've been playing a lot with this since about July, maybe even a little earlier with Google PPC. And we know that this offer to this audience works in terms of just cost per lead and responsiveness on the lead. So I'm just showing an example of one of the pages again for context of what Josh is talking about. But you can't just go buy a landing page, run a Google ad to it, and think that money's going to come out the other end. You can follow up. You want to round out the whole system with all the other components to make sure that you get ROI on your spend. Exactly.
So according to this report, because someone, I believe that's our boy William there that asked, what's the age of the younger boomers? And then Daphne said, turned 60 this year. As of that makes sense because in the report, it says it qualifies younger boomers as 58 to 67, older boomers 68 to, I don't know, something. And then, the silent generation is older than that. George says 100% I'm in. George, just, let us know. You can use the chat widget at wakeup.realestate or email mike@growwithjosh.com. We can get you a link and or the checklist, either one, if you're interested in implementing that yourself. But the thing to think about is having multiple ways to put people in to the beginning of the pipeline, and then having a multi-channel follow-up combination of automated and manual to create top of mind awareness and stay top of mind and build your brand equity so that it becomes a foregone conclusion that whenever their motivation hits a tipping point, you're their real estate professional of choice. And I strategically said real estate professional of choice and not the other word, because who knows what will come with that. They've already sold us up the river by selling realtor.com. So refer to yourself as a real estate professional moving forward. At least that's my opinion. It's not business as usual. Blood in the water and sharks are out with new lawsuits. DOJ is now involved. Can't fight DOJ. Yeah, I mean, listen. And also, none of us can directly affect any of that. But we can control what we have control over. Like you control what you focus on, and if you focus on all that stuff, and woe is me, and all of the negativity, you're just going to get more of the negativity. But here's what we know. Nothing has ever stopped the real estate market. Yeah. Transactions are going to happen every day. Are you going to participate or not? That's really what you need to decide. This
is starting to feel a lot like 2009, 2010 again. And what happened then was a lot of people left. Yep. You know, that the membership shrank. People are going to look at this news and be like, it's over. I got to go find something else to do, which just means less competition. And for those of us who are willing to double down and knuckle down or whatever you call it, it could be good.
Yeah. And it is more imperative than ever. If you want to survive, you have to treat it like a business. And if you look at any business, their number one asset is their database, their customer base. The problem is, if you're just relying on your past clients and sphere of influence, they're moving less frequently. Like when I got into the business, people said, people move on average every 5 to 7 years, right? So if you have X amount of people in your database and you do a good job, you're going to get, these predictable transactions. The last number, this is reported by Redfin, was like more than 13 years. They move every more than 13 years. It's probably getting more like 15 years. So you have to have more people in your database, in your sphere of reach, and you have to go deeper with all of those and create more rapport and relationship and that sense of them knowing and liking and trusting you, not just when they're ready to transact, but when they hear people talking about buying or selling.
And you need to provide more value or be perceived as providing more value. You said that before, Josh. A USP is going to become, unique selling propositions become much more important. So you go to the boomers or the downsizing niche, or you go to, hey, I'm the new construction guy, whatever your niche might be. You want people to know that they're coming to you and possibly handing you a retainer fee in the next few years because you're the guy or the girl for that thing. But there's the opportunity, because most of your competition is not going to do that. They're either going to give up and leave, or try to keep doing business as usual. But if you do the pivot now, you'll be ahead of the curve. Basically.
Yeah.
NAR will need a GoFundMe account.
And then Larry also asked, so now do you charge 5, 6, or 7? I think that's the wrong. I get why you're saying that. That's the wrong question. The better question is, how can I create a unique value proposition in my market that makes it a foregone conclusion that whatever I decide I'm going to charge, and really we don't decide, we negotiate what our fee is with the client. Okay. So you can have a number in mind, but ultimately, you're going to negotiate and decide together with that client what makes sense for them.
There are agents around the country right now, and there have always been, not a ton, but I know they're out there, who charge a retainer fee to help you find a really good investment property.
Absolutely.
And there are investors who very happily pay that agent a retainer to lock down their time and attention in order to find that deal, because a 5,000 or whatever the number might be retainer fee to find a great $1 million deal that's going to give you 30% return annual is well worth the 5,000. It's just a matter of communicating that value and what you're going to do in your niche, and you'll just always be in business. It's just going to require more work than it has the last few years. The last few years has just been too easy.
Well, more work, yes, but more strategic work.
Yes.
Right. Working smarter, not simply working harder. And creating, a unique value proposition or a unique selling proposition that stands out in your marketplace and allows you to have a different conversation. That's really what it's about, right? Changing the conversation from you being a commodity. In other words, you're just like every other real estate agent or realtor out there, to being someone that brings unique value to the transaction and is able to demonstrate what that is more clearly, concisely, and directly to consumers.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Gotta be out there. Just some comments on NAR. I don't know. Maybe a silver lining here is NAR needs to get better, or maybe they go away. Who knows? At the risk of getting kicked out, but it could be a wake-up call. The industry may get, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and maybe this is good stuff.
Yeah, totally. I don't think we're not going away. The ones that the professionals, the business minded, the entrepreneurs that provide real value and service.
I wish I was wearing my cockroach costume today. We're not going.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, so we are so grateful for the amazing turnout live here. By far a record for one of our live shows. So thank you so much for that. If you would like to continue the conversation and more on strategically what to do about it, I would highly encourage you to join us for our weekly mastermind, which is interactive Zoom session, right? Where we can be more interactive and engaging by going to wakeup.realestate/mm, wakeup.realestate/mm, where we'll, again, I want to brainstorm and mastermind. What can we do about this collectively to come out the other side of this better, right? Every obstacle is an opportunity. It just may you just may need to change the way you're looking at that obstacle to find the opportunity.
And before you go to the mastermind later at wakeuprealestate/mm, for context, because we do have some new people here today, check out the Renos video. It kind of lays out what Josh was talking about having like a multi-channel niche. It's me rambling on for like 9 minutes, so you can watch it fast play, but it'll give you context on what we're talking about as a solution to what's going on.
That's a 9-minute video overview of that checklist, essentially. It's not like perfectly matching up, but it gives you more context of what that practically looks like for a given niche. And I shared downsizer as an option because the numbers point to that, but that doesn't, there are other niches that could make more sense depending on your market, depending on your personality, depending on your age. I mean, there can be any number of factors, but I think you got to. What's that? You started
with FSBO's tremendous opportunity. Probably, with the way the economy's looking, and just get really good at something.
That's a great point. Get really good at something, right? Because specialists, right? The plastic surgeon gets paid a lot more than the general practitioner. Okay, the attorneys in this case are getting paid a lot more than the general law attorneys in Missouri, right? Like when you specialize and get really good at something, you position yourself to be more highly paid, right? So whether it is growing your database of potentially downsizing baby boomers, or focusing on folks who are younger that need or want to trade up. But what I would caution you though is against, at least for now, focusing on the first-time buyers as where you're going to invest time and energy. It doesn't mean that you can't help them and won't help them.
You can help them rent for a fee, and that may be business again. Property management might be big for the next few years. So just keep an open mind and again, get good at something.
The point is there's more than one right answer. It's about getting clear for you what the right answer is for you, given what's going on, and then committing to it and going and fully implementing and fully going all in on that, and owning whatever that niche or whatever that opportunity is in your market. So good stuff. Again, cannot say thanks enough for the incredible turnout here today. Would love to see a whole bunch of you on with us for the mastermind at 1 Eastern today. 1 Eastern today. So 90 minutes from now, wakeup.realestate/mm. Wakeup.realestate/mm. Tomorrow is Tech Tip Thursday. And I have a tech tip that I want to share. And I think Ryan unknowingly has a tech tip that that he's got. Well, I shouldn't have said unknowingly. We were thinking on the same page. I think I know what his tech tip is from our conversation this morning. So hopefully we'll see you later today at 1. If not, tomorrow, same place, same time for Tech Tip Thursday, and Friday we'll do some follow-up as well. Go to wakeup.realestate/mm, or if you want any of the resources that I mentioned, or more information on the setup, the end-to-end setup that I walked through just go to wakeup.realestate. There's a chat widget, or email mike@growwithjosh.com. mike@growwithjosh.com. Larry, you're asking for email. Mike, is that what you mean? mike@growwithjosh.com, or did you mean something else? And Larry, you have my email. Just reach out to me. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. See you guys.